Hey Married at First Sight fans, welcome back to the channel. Shantia here. So today we're going to be doing another review of Married at First Sight. This is going to be for season 15, episode 10. Okay, so this was a pretty dramatic episode, so I most definitely want to get into talking about the couples. Most definitely comment down below, participate in the discussions, and let me know what you're thinking about how things are unfolding, because I gotta say, the end of that episode, number 10, was a hot mess, and I don't know about you, I was feeling pretty passionate, and that's why I'm recording this the day of watching it, and I'll be uploading it quickly because I was behind. Also, I just want to thank those of you who mentioned that my audio went out. I fixed it. I don't know what happened. Somehow the audio just deleted itself and I had to replace it, but thank you for that. Okay, so it is my birthday month, so I'm gonna put a little zhuzh into my fashion for the month. So let's go ahead and start with our first couple, Lindy and Miguel. Okay, so the main issue, now Miguel seems like a really nice guy. He has a really calm temperament. I think he's handling the whole situation beautifully. He is a bit skeptical, right? He is very much logical. He is kind of counting things down. There's a little bit of fear, which is natural when you're getting into a connection. But the thing is, Lindy, and sometimes the things she says doesn't really help. She's kind of reinforcing these fears because she keeps talking about how, oh, you haven't seen me at my worst yet. He didn't like it when she was being snarky about the wedding photos. That bothered him. And overall, she's just always like, oh, thank you. I respect you so much that I'm not going to say all these things and spew all these things. And in the past, I've had partners where I've just spewed things and they've just taken it. And here's what I want to say to women out there. Now, authenticity is very important. Honesty is very important. But you don't want to be honest to a fault. And I feel like Lindy, as well as Mitch, has this trait about them where they're honest to a fault, where they say things they probably shouldn't be saying, right? It takes a little bit of pause and maturity to really understand, maybe we don't want to say that. And here's the thing, like women, sometimes we get very talkative, right? We get very talkative, especially when we're nervous. It can be cute and charming, right? When you're like really talkative and bubbly. But when you're talking excessively, like you're going, and then you're talking about negative traits on top of that, and you're spewing all of that, those ideas, now that doesn't feel good. And I feel like this is just a trait that women often tend to hold on to because they're like, oh, I'm so flawed. I need them to know how flawed I am. Like, no, you don't. No, they don't need to know how flawed you are. You don't need to talk about it. Like, it's good to talk about lessons you've learned, but from my understanding, it's better for you to leave a lot of that behind. And sometimes I think we have a hard time. I don't know, it's a feminine thing because feminine energy is naturally very humble and we're naturally very I don't know the right, like I can't come up with the perfect word right now, but the first word that's coming to me is like self-degrading. Like we have a tendency to like bring ourselves down, right? Let's say someone compliments us and we're like, oh, I just got it from the thrift store. Or hey, you look amazing today. Oh, I just kind of threw in some makeup. Like, we do this thing because it's just natural for us. We have this weird self-sabotage mechanism. It's actually innate to women. And I want to get further into this conversation throughout each of the couples because I was watching a video today and it was very enlightening. And I may even link it down below. So most definitely, I'll link it down below for you guys and you guys can check it out about how women have a tendency to like self-sabotage ourselves. This is a part of our feminine consciousness, which is what Lindy is displaying perfectly. But the thing is, for me personally, I'm already hard on myself. I don't want to go around talking about, all of those traits and being like, well, I want you to think that of me too. I want to build up my confidence and believe in myself. So confidence is just something that women, we have to constantly build ourselves. We have to build that willpower. It comes naturally to men because it's part of their natural essence. They're part of their masculine energy to just go out, do, conquer. That's why they handle failure as well as rejection much better because they're hardwired to. But women, our consciousness, there's so much fear and anxiety, which is what Lindy's displaying. There's so much fear and anxiety in our minds. We're constantly searching for a way to feel safe and secure, which is why women are always saying, hey, I need to feel safe and secure. And, part of me was always like, I'm going to get further into this with Stasia, but this need for security in partnerships. I think it's understandable. Yes, you want safety and security. There's nothing wrong with that. But I also feel like it's not really something you can demand necessarily. It's something you can ask for, but I feel like it's something that men should just offer. And you can communicate if you're not feeling that in the partnership and be like, well, this doesn't make me feel safe and secure. I think that's fine too. But I also feel like it takes time to develop that. It's not just, oh yeah, bam, he can give you all the safety and security just in that moment. I don't really think it happens like that. I feel like it just sort of happens energetically and in stages. So when it comes to Lindy, my recommendation, even if you have this habit of wanting to bring yourself down, don't do it, and do not do it in front of your partner. Treat yourself like a queen at all times. Treat yourself as if you got some sense. Treat yourself as if you have yourself under control. And most definitely have those authentic conversations where you say, okay, I have these insecurities, I have these weaknesses, but don't focus on that, because you're supposed to be like working on those things on your own. And essentially we share those things, especially with our partners, because we're looking for that little bit of validation from them to be like, hey, you got this. But I'm like, the more you seek it, the more you need it. So it's not a really healthy way or a healthy dependency, in my opinion. I know we depend on each other, but I'm always for learning how to become the most healthy, self-regulating, self-reliant within my own energy, so that my cup, I fill my own cup and it overflows, so that I have so much to give and offer and share and give and receive with my partner. So yeah, that's just my thing with Lindy. Just please stop talking about yourself like that. Enjoy it. Her and Miguel have really cute moments, but I can tell every time she says these little things about herself, he's just like, okay, am I with a red flag, or should I give this woman a chance? Like, what do I do here? So it's just really something to think about. Don't talk about yourself like that. Please do not do it. Just journal about it, process it. And I'll go ahead and post down below. I'm starting a 10-day challenge on my other YouTube channel. It's like more of my spiritual channel. But if you guys are interested in doing that, then you can go ahead and participate in that. And I show you how my process for how I process emotions. I made videos on it before on this channel. And I've also made some videos on my other channel as well. But I'm doing like PDF. I'm giving you guys a PDF version of all of the information you need, and each day and each video I post, I'm going to post a new challenge for you to grow and develop in. It's called Cleanse to Abundance. So releasing and letting go of things so that we can process, let go, and open ourselves to receiving and being in the receptivity mode and receiving all the abundance into our lives. Okay, a lot of talk. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next couple, Kristen and Mitch. Okay, now I'm really glad that Kristen finally spoke up in this episode, but that was due, she should have did that from the get-go. Like, directly communicate how you're feeling. Now with Kristen, the thing with her, I noticed, is that you notice in the beginning, she was just overly optimistic. She's like, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great, we're doing fine. She always does that. A lot of euphemistic language around her relationship and around Mitch being very supportive of him. Stop doing that. Your cup isn't filling up. See, this is the thing. You got to watch for that. You know, I know women, we're natural nurturers. We want to just give and offer people, but people really can receive a beautiful love, and we can receive something and exchange something with them energetically in a healthy way when we're filling up our cup, before we're just offering to people all of our resources and all of our nurturing energy. So Kristen is the perfect case with Mitch, where she's offering, her cup isn't full, she's giving, she's overcompensating, she's giving, she's overcompensating. She's done this in her previous partners before. What did she do? She paid for the entire wedding plus her wedding ring, her savings, a credit card. Too much. And now she's doing it all again with Mitch, compensating, letting him run the show essentially. Now, again, the reason why it's so important for women to, follow your own desires, listen to what you want, and pursue that path and stay true to that, is because you are a natural nurturer. Most women are natural nurturers. You're going to give. That's not really something you should question. You're going to give of yourself. So you have to first teach yourself how to give to yourself, how to receive that energy, and how to ask for it as well. If you're in that natural receptive mode, if you've already told yourself, you've done the journaling, you've done the inner work to be true to yourself and understand, I'm deserving of love. I'm so deserving of him wanting to take care of me. I'm so deserving of a really healthy partnership. I'm so deserving of someone who supports my dreams. Then you're not going to have these conversations where he's like, where you're battling with trying to prove that your dreams are worthy of being supported. So, even if it's, let's say the genders were switched around, it doesn't matter if it's man or woman. In general, for a person, you have to believe in yourself first. You have to believe in your dreams first before anyone else, because then as you're pursuing it, no one can tell you otherwise. The people who are truly successful at what they're able to achieve, they do not waver from their desires. They stay true to their desires and they follow along the path. So there's something there where, I don't know, somewhere along the way, she learned it's better to be in a relationship than to be single. It's better to give than to receive. I have to overgive in order to feel valuable, And now I'm fighting for, where do I get to be true to my desires? Where does Kristen get to be seen here? I'm like, and while she's saying this at the dinner table across from Mitch, I'm over here on the other side of the TV saying, girl, now's the time. When do you get to get everything you want? Now, you decide. And this is something that women often forget. You decide. You do not need his permission. You lead your relationship energetically. Decide. Journal about it. Say, I decide. Pray about it. I decide. I believe it. I deserve it. It's coming my way. He's going to just align with your desire. Okay. With Mitch, I feel like Mitch is a very genuine person. I think he is making so much progress. I feel like, he's much more understanding. Like, the thing about men is they're always going to try to find a way to get what they want, right? So if you start to get to the point where you're not getting what you want, you're just letting him get what he wants in your connection, he's not really going to think he's going to get into conserve energy mode, right? He's not really going to think about, oh, well, she's overcompensating and she's making it easy for me. I might as well just go with the flow. That's what they're hardwired to do. So just let him do the work. Okay. Let him earn you. Let him work towards you. Even the intimacy. Why are we getting intimate when you don't even feel like you have an equal say in your partnership? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just like there's some steps that are missed. We shouldn't be joining in intimacy before we've established that you feel like this person values the most important things, your dreams, your desires, your character, who you are, your authentic self in all aspects. Now, Mitch said at the dinner table, you're allowed to snap, you're allowed to get mad. I support you, I'm here. I feel like amongst all of the couples, between the two of them, Mitch and Kristen have a genuine friendship. Like, they have a genuine friendship. And it's a little bit confused because now they're in this like romantic partnership where it's like people with two very different value systems like put and plopped together. It just makes it a little bit more confusing because it's like, I feel like they're supposed to be friends, but they're trying to be romantic partners. That's what it feels like to me anyways. But it might be that they're also establishing a foundation for a possible, miraculous, beautiful relationship. What the two of them have going for them is that they're mature and they're communicating. And Kristen is over communicating. And I think she's finally coming around to learning the lesson that she's missed before. No more overcompensating. Fill up my cup first. Okay? Your partner's always going to be there. Just go fill up your cup. You don't know how it's so attractive. It's so attractive. Men fine, women very attractive when they're just staying true to their desires, when they're feeling really happy and content and satisfied within themselves, with their lives, with their dreams, with their desires. So it's not like, no, he won't accept my desires. Just you accept your desires. Now, if he wants to be worthy of your energy, well, he better learn to accept your dreams and your desires too, right? If he wants to have available to him your nurturing energy, well, he better support your dreams too. It's just something he's going to have to learn, right? We're not just giving away our energy. right? That's what we have, is we have the honey, we have the energy. That is what our value to give. It's energetic, it's invisible, it's feminine energy, right? Inner, hidden, it's invisible, but it's so valuable because men, they get so much value from a woman's nurturing energy and support. It makes them feel so confident to go out there and do what they want to do. Like, have you seen a guy when he's single versus when he's in a connection, in a relationship? How much benefits he gets from that connection. Okay. So yeah, Mitch is he's maturing, he's learning. I like what he said at the table. I did not like what he said about, this is where he was being too honest. He talked about how he didn't know if he could be a good husband going into this. And she's like, wait a second, I was ready to be a wife. What do you mean you didn't think you could be a good husband? Shouldn't have said that, because then it triggered her and it made her feel really upset. Now she's like, okay, you know what? You weren't ready to be a husband? Guess what? I don't know if I want to be your wife now. So it's coming out, but it's good. It's like the fight that needed to come out of her so that she could see her own worthiness and her own value. Mitch is maturing. He's learning. I liked what he said in the after party about seeing and reflecting on how he really should have valued her dreams and he should have put the shirt on. He's learning how to mature, but he's still working that reactive, rebellious phase out of him. Overall, I feel like I like their vibe together. I like their energy. I like their friendship. So let's go ahead and move on to Alexis and Justin. Now, Alexis and Justin are pretty much stuck at where they were 3 weeks ago, pretty much as soon as they got back from the honeymoon. Things are somewhat getting better. Speaking from Justin's perspective, Justin's very emotional. Thus why Alexis feels like she has to self-regulate her husband and herself. I get it. That can be exhausting. That's not something we want to do. Here's another thing. He is intuitive. He may be very sensitive, but sensitive people, the one thing about them is they have the tendency to be intuitive. When you connect that strong sensitivity and intuition to unhealed wounds, it makes them overreactive. So if they're unhealed and they're stuck at their 12-year-old self of not feeling like they can express themselves or feeling like they want to be rebellious and express themselves wildly, they're going to say some hurtful things, unfortunately, and it's not going to feel great to be on the other side of that. So Justin is needing to mature in his emotions because while they were at that dinner party, they could have had a perfectly fine time. Alexis stated very clearly and obviously, hey, I don't want to talk right now. And he's like, oh, why don't you want to talk? And she's like, I just don't. So he kept egging her on. Again, like kind of like a 12-year-old. It just reminded me like of a young boy. That was not mature. That was not a mature response. And then she just got to the point where she's like, okay, now that I'm upset, now I'm going to say something. He hasn't learned how to, and it is unfortunate, to regulate his emotions in a way that he can be supportive of his partner. I'm like, that did not need to be stirred up. That is not mature. Don't stir up the pot. Just because you're angry, that doesn't mean you need to express it in that moment. That's the difference between being a child and being an adult. We have the same exact emotions as children. We have the exact same spectrum. The difference is we choose and decide with our intellect and our self-control when we express it. That's the difference. So he has no self-control. He's like, okay, well, I'm feeling upset. Now I'm going to say something. I'm like, no, you don't have to say something. So that's just something he's having to go to therapy about and self-reflect on. He's very in tune with his emotions, but because he's unhealed and very sensitive, he has these moments where he just bursts, his anger just bursts and he gets impatient. Unfortunately, it's going to destabilize your partnership. And the thing is, you're here being emotional. For a woman, that's extremely exhausting, right? So if you have a masculine partner who's like super emotional and explosive, there's nothing wrong with being emotional and sensitive, but when you're super emotional and you're explosive with your emotions, and then here's this feminine energy who's also sensitive and emotional, it's like, where is the masculine energy in the partnership, right? Where's the container? Where's the masculine container? Everything is just, all the energy is just bursting about all over the place. So that's what she's talking about when she's like, I have to self-regulate myself and him. But this is why I also say, don't try to be the strong person, especially if you're the feminine in the partnership. Do not try to be the strong person in your connection. Don't try to be like, oh, I'll hold it all together. No, don't try to do that. You will exhaust yourself and you will not have anything to offer him. You're draining your resources. And like she said, it's draining. Now with Alexis, the issue that I keep seeing is she has been wrong. There's been many occasions where there's a subtle manipulative thing going on. It's not really a word that I like to use, but I don't really have another word for it. But to me, people are manipulative when they're not self-aware, and I feel like she's lacking some kind of self-awareness. What makes her dangerous to an extent is she's like a little girl playing big grown woman's games, in a sense. So what I mean by this is sometimes people think they're mature and they're smart, and she can be, right? She can be very intelligent. But sometimes smart people can be very manipulative as well. So you can be very smart, but if you're not self-aware, you can actually end up using that intelligence to manipulate people. And I feel like she kind of does this. She has an intelligence, an intuitive intelligence when it comes to emotions and knowing which buttons to press and whatnot. So she knows how to make him feel comfortable and love and like desire her and whatnot. She's over here making cards for the relationship. All the while, she's kind of checked out, right? She's kind of drained. So it's like a weird, confusing dynamic. She doesn't want to say she loves him. It's like, what? It's very confusing. I feel like she's trying, but it's unclear. I feel like for herself, the boundaries are unclear. Therefore, the boundaries are unclear for him. This is why Justin, who is actually in tune, he is picking up on the right things, but he doesn't have self-control, is looking at her saying, okay, you don't want to say anything. Obviously, something's bothering you. Why don't you let me know what's bothering you? You're not bothering me, honey. No, you're fine. No, I can tell something's bothering you. Okay, well, now that I'm upset enough that you've asked, I'm going to go ahead and tell everyone why I'm upset. Now, behind the scenes, she did say she was upset. She had gotten upset and didn't want to speak up because she has heard all of the couples talking about how they are making improvements, all the while thinking Justin wasn't doing any work to improve on himself. Yet, she's sitting there, he's asking her what's going on, but she deflects it and makes it about, like, in a way, it was a little bit of gaslighting where she's like, no, I have no issues with you. What are you talking about? She was essentially saying that to him. So I'm just like, that's the lack of self-awareness and the lack of maturity as well. And on the other occasion, right, she talked about Morgan and Ben's situation. Why are you going to Morgan? Knowing that Morgan does not have very good reactions or responses to what Ben has done in the past, why are you going to Morgan, talking about her, telling her that Ben's doing all of these things? That's not maturity. Maturity is you leave grown people, other couples, to resolve their problems. We do not go behind each other's back. You just say, hey, look, if it was really urgent, like let's say there was infidelity happening, I would go up to him and I would just be like, you better tell her or else I will. I would just probably threaten straight up. Or I'd be like, if he absolutely refused to say something, like if it was like a really urgent situation and he absolutely refused to say something, I would put them both in one room and be like, you better tell her or else I'm going to tell her. Like, this needs to come out now. Because yes, we don't want our friends to be hurt, but this is their relationship. Overall, the best ideal situation is to stay out of it in general, because it can get very messy and now you're a part of that mess and you're the initiator for the mess happening. And that's not really what you want. I wouldn't be proud that I tore a person's connection apart because I said something. Alexis has a way of deflecting from time to time, and I've just noticed this. It's like a subtle manipulation thing. And that's it. That's just her thing, is just gain a little self-awareness, understand your part in the connection. You said you were upset about your dog, but I'm like, I felt like that was something you should let go. And the thing is, because she didn't let that go, and Justin's so emotional and he's unhappy and all these things, and his emotions to some degree are dependent on her emotions. They're in this like stalemate. And the thing is, he cares about, he likes her, but this is why I'm like, you always want to be self-aware of whether you actually do love someone, because the minute things get hard and you get up and walk out, you have to ask yourself, is that love? Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to be more mature and have better responses. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next couple. Is that our last one? Morgan and Min? Where are we on? No, we're on Stasia and Nate. Okay, Stasia and Nate. So Nate, oh my goodness, Nate said, I'm falling in love with you, specifically. And he said, what did he say, 7, 8? Something like that. Yeah. I don't know. I really want to know what you guys thought about Nate's confession. Because I was like, oh, okay. Okay. He's kind of, the thing is, Nate's very stoic. So I'm like, I guess he could have a lot of emotions going on underneath the surface. It's just he doesn't reveal it or show it. I don't know where it was coming from. I don't know where he said it has something to do with trust. And then he's like, I trust you now. And I'm like, what? 2 days later, you trust her? But you didn't trust her before enough to say you love you and you're at a score before. I don't know if he was doing that just to make her feel comfortable and make her feel secure. And he was just he was sensing that she needed that from him or what it was. I'm not sure. It's a question mark for me. I do like to see people in love. And I think Nate's just trying to do the best he can in this situation. I think Stasia knows what she wants, most definitely. But at the same time, as we can tell, emotionally, she's somewhat needy, right? A little bit needy. And I feel like what's beautiful about her is she's perfectly willing to admit, I want love, I need love. And I like that because not a lot of people have the courage to do that. So many people are trying to be like, I'm strong, I'm independent, even though really they're just like, I need love too. So I like that about Stasia, that she's like, I'm vulnerable, I need love. I love the conversation that she was having in the kitchen with her mom, where she was like, well, I need him to tell me, to reassure me. And her mom's like, well, you need to let him move at his own pace. You need to let him have his own emotions. And I loved her mother's vulnerability when she talked about how she felt that Stasia's lack of trust in connections was due to her relationship, right? We often emulate what we learn or we rebel. So in this case, I think Stasia was most definitely feeding off of that trust. I really want to know, what are your opinions about trust and how that operates and works in connections? Because some people say trust is something you need to earn. Some people say you just give it until it's lost. I just always felt trust. I've never really thought of it in those strict terms. I've never experienced it in those strict terms. I think I've always been, how should I say this? I think it's important to be open. I think it's important to be open. I think it's important to open your heart. So Stasia is saying that trust should be earned, but at the same time, like the irony is the reason why she's so emotional and needing of that validation from him is actually, it has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with what's going on inside of her and her emotions and what wasn't resolved and what wasn't healed. So unfortunately, it doesn't matter. Like he can say, I love you right now, but there might be something else down the line where you self-sabotage and you're like, okay, well now I need you to show me even more proof. Now I need you to show me even more proof. Now, I think she is head overs for this guy because she got tattoos with him. Like they got tattoos. I'm just like, okay, all right, you guys better stay married now. I think they're very cute together. You know the movies where you watch those couples and they're just like so infatuated with each other and it's just like, I don't know, they get tattoos of each other and I don't know, it just seems really fast. I know she's like business, professional, thoughtful, but when it comes to her connections and her heart, she's super vulnerable and a little, do you know what I mean? There's a little bit of instability going on in there. So this is kind of the thing, sometimes you could be a 10 in a business, right? Like you're very good and smart with your finances and your business. But when it comes to relationships, sometimes you can be like a 4. Or like you can be, let's put an age on it, like 33 mature adult when it comes to business. But when it comes to relationships, you're age 16. It almost feels like that for her. That's how I would describe it. Like it just feels a little bit underdeveloped or something. I don't really know what the word is for it. It just feels very young and She gives me like teenage vibes, which I think is really cute. Like I like her youthful energy. I'm like, she's gonna age amazing. Because her mom looks amazing as well, and she looks just like her mother. Yet at the same time, I don't know what the terminology, the words have left me, guys, but I'm most definitely feeling that with Stasia. Like there's a little bit of, it's a little too soon, too fast to me. Like tattoos, the posting up, I want you to say you love me. Like it all just feels like it's too fast, too much, too soon. And I feel like he's trying to like work with it. He's trying to work with the energy, just give her just enough of what she wants, but I feel like she wants so much from him. Obsessive, that's the word, I think. It's like a little obsessive. She wants a lot from him all at once, but at the same time, it's like, these are experiences you grow into, you know? So yeah, that's why I feel like Nate's confession had more to do with wanting to offer her security. I think he does trust her. He's like, yes, I am trusting her and I do care for you and I am committed to this connection. But I feel like the love thing, that really was something more of he needed to do. Because I think love is a gift. And I feel like you want that to be a gift. You don't want to make someone say it to you, because then you're always going to be wondering in the back of your mind, do you really love me? I wonder if she's going to be wondering in the back of her mind, do you really love me? Was it worth it putting a measuring tape on love? Was it worth it anxiously asking him to love you if you're never really going to be sure if it was genuine or not? So that's just my thing. I think she might question that. Yeah, I think Nate's doing the best he can with the situation. I like his communication. I like his calm demeanor. I think the tattoos are a bit much, but we're just going to have to see how things unfold. Stasia, there's quite a bit of healing that needs to happen. The minute she said, I'm a lot, I was like, girl, that's like a year of inner work right there. I heard it. But let me also say this. People get into partnerships all the time when they're still having to do so much healing. And I think it's harder to some degree to be in a connection and to be doing all of that inner work, because connections do sort of demand quite a bit of you. So it's like you want to always be in a place where you're like, ideally, you don't feel like you're a lot, at least. You feel like, I'm good. I can take care of myself. I can handle my emotions. Someone would be lucky enough to have me. And I also thought it was interesting when she was saying, so this is interesting because I felt like this was very masculine. She was like, okay, so you're getting a house. I don't know, she said something about getting a house with me. You're getting this lifestyle. It's basically luxury. Who wouldn't want this? And I was just like, that's not really what helps guys to fall in love. I'm like, unless you want him to fall in love with your bank account, that's not what you want to be promoting in terms of your package, ever. It's your energy. It's always your energy. And sometimes women don't even realize that they have it. They do not. They have no clue. They have no clue the wealth that is in them. And so they reinforce this idea because they're like, okay, well, it's my money. And no, that's not what makes them fall in love. And she wants love. So I'm like, she wants love so badly, but kind of going about it in the wrong direction. I think Nate is being practical, but what's good about them is they do genuinely vibe with each other. There's flirtation, there's genuine attraction. So I have hope for the two of them. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our next couple. They seem like they're in a really good place. Stasia and Nate, and he said all that at the table. He's like, I'm falling in love with her. But the only thing that makes me kind of question the devotion between them, like the genuine devotion, is the body language. Like he was saying all of those affectionate words. Even when he told her, I'm in love with you, they were both separate. It was weird to me. I was just like, is this a business partnership or is this like a marriage? What is this? You know, so just watch for that, because men do love romance. They want to be romantic. I think Stasia was saying something about Nate wanted to do all of this to tell her I'm in love with you. And he did. They did. They were at a nice dinner. And she's like, oh, I don't need all of that. Ironically, sometimes they need it. You may not think you need the romance, but sometimes they need it, because you are romance. You're the dream, your beauty, your love, your feminine energy. So let them enjoy your feminine energy. I'm just like, come on, girl. Okay. Our last couple is Morgan and Ben. Ooh, it's a mess. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Ben first really quick. So apparently Ben's been talking about Morgan behind Ben's been talking about Morgan behind Morgan's back to Justin. Alexis found out, overheard it on apparently a speakerphone, which I'm like, what? A speakerphone? Why on earth is Justin talking to Ben on a speakerphone when his wife's in the other room? That makes no sense to me. Obviously, it's supposed to be confidential, right? And then Alexis decided it was her place to tell Morgan. And Morgan got all upset. So here's my feel for Ben. We still have no idea what he was saying. I don't get the vibe that it was anything too crazy. She's so shut down that it would be hard for any guy to get close to her or to talk to her, to communicate. Considering the situation, I think Ben's just making the most of the circumstances. Like, she's very closed off, but he's trying to make himself, like, stay in this, be the dutiful husband as best as he can. I think Ben is making the most of the situation. I think he's trying to be a dutiful husband given the limited emotional circumstances and emotional connection and bond to Morgan. So Morgan finds out that Ben's been talking about her, and immediately she starts getting into punishment mode. She tosses the flowers down. She tells him, hey, you better start. He's trying to talk. She talks over him. She says, you're not listening to me. He's trying to explain the situation. Again, he's like, she corners him. And the next part, she tells him, and oh my gosh, this was all over Twitter. She tells him, I'm going to stay in this partnership just so you can see how much you've hurt me and upset me and feel bad about it. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's so toxic, girl. That's so toxic. So yes, it's a mess. I was most definitely very upset in the moment when I was watching that. And I felt very bad for Ben in that situation. That is abusive. Unfortunately, like, the crazy thing is Morgan's the one who's crying, right? Abusers who abuse and they don't know they're abusing. She's over there, she's crying. She's saying he's taking advantage of me. He's talking about me behind my back. And I'm just like, is a guy not allowed to talk about his connection? Like, is he not allowed to confide in a friend? Now, his or her thing was that he lied. He said to her face, I'm not talking about my relationship to anyone because I don't want to put it out there. I respect you enough, something like that. And so she's like, well, you betrayed me. It just feels like it's been blown way out of proportion. It feels so exaggerated. He is allowed to talk to someone. You shouldn't be in a controlling him so much so that he can't express himself. And another thing is, you guys are strangers. He needs to lean on someone, especially since you're so shut off and so cold. And then another thing is she keeps talking to him as if like she's looking down on him, right? Very much in a very condescending manner. It does not feel good when I'm hearing her talk to him. It feels very much punishment. She's essentially trying to punish him like she is trying to punish her dad. So it doesn't matter what masculine energy is ever in her life. She's always going to, or like partner she's dating, she's always going to try to punish them because she's still very unhealed and very unaware. She's not self-aware at all because she keeps taking it as if she's the victim. When I'm like, he's just going around doing normal things, right? Of course he's going to vent. Of course he's going to talk about those issues with someone. And that's fine. I just don't know why Alexis is aware of this, is going around telling Morgan about this. That's the part where I'm just like, what the heck? And I feel like he most definitely has a much, 10 times closer relationship to Justin than he does to Morgan. So it just makes that situation even more frustrating. So yes, I think most people are team Ben right now because we just all feel bad for him and being in that situation. And that was a very interesting representation of a woman. Again, every season we kind of get a little bit of abuse coming from feminine, like blatant abuse. Last season was from Lindsay and Alyssa. And this season it's her. So the best thing to come out of this is I'm hoping that Ben realizes his value and his worthiness. And my parents were just like, I was watching the episode with them and they were so upset for him. Like, they were just so upset for him. They're just like, what the heck? Ben, you could do better, Ben. And yeah, with Morgan, I just hope she gains some self-awareness about what she's doing. I really want you guys to comment down below and let me know what you thought about the situation. And most definitely feel free to share about any similar experiences that you've gone through personally, because maybe someone can benefit from that in the comment section. Yeah, but most definitely a case of verbal abuse and kind of emotional abuse, because she was like utilizing power, overpowering him, and emotional, like a psychological emotional manipulation to let him know or to disempower him. She was giving him ultimatums and essentially like threatening him. All the while she's standing there and she's thinking, I'm perfectly sane. This is perfectly normal. So that's just a dangerous thing. Again, I want to communicate this is the danger is when someone isn't self-aware. Like that's the danger. That's when people become abusive. That's when people take advantage of other people in relationships, is when they're not aware. Self-awareness is so powerful in terms of you understanding your own flaws and working on yourself. And we're all flawed. We all have ways about us where it's like, girl, you can do better. And right now, Twitter is most definitely not a fan of Morgan. But hopefully she comes out of this self-aware. I'm like, the worst thing would be to come out of this and be like, she didn't learn anything. That would be so sucky. But for Ben, yeah, I feel bad for him, because I feel like most definitely they're playing into their fears. She gives me scared little girl, is what she gives me. Scared little girl. And I feel like Ben is having to relive this fear of not being good enough, right? And having to be a people pleaser. And the hurtful thing, I think, watching that is, his fear or his insecurities being a people pleaser, yet you're trying to control him and treat him like a child and punish him. So I guess an issue we can tackle is, whether you want to admit it or not, there may have been a time when you were in a partnership and you wanted to punish your partner. So you did something, you said something, or let's say you ignored them, right? You put away your energy and you tried to punish them like a kid. We just want to watch for that, because that's not healthy. Those are not healthy mechanisms. We want to directly communicate, ideally, right? In an ideal world, of course, we're not always going to do this, but you want to communicate and be like, this is what's going on. I'm upset. I need some time right now. Even amongst Alexis and the bit of self-awareness that I see there, she still is a good communicator. She still is a good communicator. Okay, so let me go ahead and end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like, subscribe to support the channel. Check out the 10-day Cleanse to Abundance Challenge. My PDF information is down below. Helps you to process your emotions. And again, because I have not read the comments yet for the reply from my previous video that I had to fix and re-upload yesterday, I want you to let me know if you're interested in me creating content, maybe even doing lives where we have conversations about femininity, feminine energy, inner work, and healing. Those are my specialties. So if you're interested in that, then most definitely mention that down below. Otherwise, just tell me what you thought about the show. I hope you guys have a beautiful day or evening. Bye.